So the tutorial today is around Mirana. Mirana is a great versatile hero. A hero that can play carry, can play support, can play on the off lane, can play a roaming hero, and very versatile, very effective in many team fights, and that's why she's chosen by so many of the professional teams. So in this quick tutorial, we're going to look at Mirana as the character, what her skills are, what items go well, and then we'll also do a replay of a live game so that you can learn some of the mechanics around this hero and how to effectively use her in certain situations. So I think Mirana personally is most effective as a pos 4, as a roaming support. You can go from one lane to the next. If you land an arrow, that's almost a guaranteed kill. You've got great magical damage. You've got the ability to escape. You've got obviously your ulti Moonlight Shadow, which gives the whole team invis, which is great for setting up kills, but also for exiting kills or escaping bad fights. So in the context of Mirana being a position 4, which is what I recommend you play her as, I'm going to show you, what I would do or how I would build her. She can also be a mid, she can be a carry, she can be, she can play different roles, but again, my personal preference is that of pos 4. In terms of her skills, the first one is Starstorm, magical ability, which sends a few starfalls to enemy creeps and heroes. It does some magical damage, and as you build it up, it becomes quite effective. The arrow, obviously, the longer or the further away the arrow is from the enemy that you're trying to hit, and if you successfully hit the hero, it'll increase the length of the stun. So you want to avoid short distances because you're only going to have half a second stun, versus using the max range of 3000, you can basically get a 5-second stun off, which is kind of OP. If you get that off, it's basically a guaranteed kill. Then you've got the leap. This is her escape mechanism. She's able to, with 3 charges, leap away from fights, leap in or leap away from fights. And then finally the Moonlight Shadow, which is basically an invis rune or a shadow blade for each person on the team. Great for going into fights, but also great for leaving bad fights. If we look at her talent tree, 150 health or 15 damage, so this definitely depends on the way you're playing. If you're maybe more tanky or needing to frontline a bit more, I'd go with the 150 health. Otherwise, 15 damage is really good. Especially the way that I play Mirana, which is going for an early aggressive right click, kind of harassing the enemy carries. Because you can do quite a lot of right click in this meta specifically. She's got a very high damage ability. Then the second option is 75 leap attack speed or sacred arrow cooldown. I usually go for the cooldown. Again, playing pos 4 makes sense because you want to be sending those arrows in regularly, going from one lane to the next and trying to set up a kill. 20 mana break or 8 spell amplification, again depending on how you're playing. Are you playing a right click, or are you playing a more magical? I also tend to play a more magical, so 8 spell amplification for me would be the route I would start with. And then you've got the 60-second shadow cooldown, Moonlight Shadow cooldown. If you look here, the cooldown is already 140, 120, 100. So if you take 60 seconds off, by the time you're maxed level, or at least level 20, you'll be doing or at least level 25, sorry, you'll be doing the Moonlight Shadow pretty much all the time. So every fight, every occasion, you can pretty much pop it. So I would go for that as the final talent tree. The multi-shot sacred arrows basically sends 3 of those arrows into 3 directions. Also really good. I see a lot of merit in that talent tree, but if I had to choose, I'd go Moonlight Shadow. In terms of the Ags, so the Agnum Scepter causes the release of a Starstorm on on the passing of a sacred arrow. I wouldn't say it's an amazing Ags. I find this to be quite a poor Ags. It used to be great. You used to have an Aghanims that as soon as she was around creeps or in the vicinity of an enemy hero, she would do an automatic Starstorm, which was really effective. Now you've got to send the arrow in to get that same ability. I don't find it to be as powerful, but if you have the money and the economy, why not? And then Agnum Shard grants 1 more leap charge, which can be really effective. I think if you play your cards right and you've got the 3 charges, you should be fine. You should only really be using those charges when you're getting in or out of battle, just to get around the map quicker. That's probably not the most effective use of a leap. So that's, Mirana in a nutshell. If you're looking at Mirana as the POS 4, in terms of item build, I think the key thing that you've got to go for is movement speed, and regen. Not necessarily always health regen, but mana regen. You'll see in a video that I'm going to take you through now, which is a game that I played with some mates a couple of days ago. And the key thing about Mirana is being able to go between the lanes, constantly, trying to land an arrow. If you miss an arrow here, you try again, or you go to another lane. You're constantly stacking camps. So you want to play with a very strong POS 3, one that can hold the lane without you being there. So that you can go and set up those kills. So that's the introduction to Mirana. So we're going to look at Mirana and a real game or real life replay of a game I played a while ago, a couple of days ago. And I'm going to share with you some of the maybe the ways in which you can use Mirana really effectively and what to do in lane and in the middle to late game. But I'll probably also share with you some of the mistakes that I made. I'm not a pro player, not even close to it. I'm a legend in the rankings. I'm just sharing with you what I've done and what I've learned and what I'm doing to be a better player. Make comments or leave anything in the comment section below if you think there's a better way to do something. Okay, so in terms of our matchups here, we've got a late game jug on our side. We've also got a Magnus. The Mag is going POS 3. I know Mag is a very strong POS 3, especially with 1 or 2 braces, treads early on. He'll be able to tank up the lane, which is great for me. We're going against a Spectre, Lion, Lich, Veno, and Razor. So it's a tough lineup. The key thing is just making sure that I'm getting around, harassing the enemy carries, and trying to make as many plays as possible. In terms of my initial items, so you can see here that I've gone for a Sage's Mask because I want to have some mana regen because I'm going to be trying to fight quite regularly, and I've also gone for a Orb of or a Blightstone. Just reducing the armor, making my right clicks just a little bit harder, and then a little bit of regen. So I'm not going to stay with the Magnus too long in lane. I really just want him to get level 2, maybe 3. Help him, by harassing that line, because the line would obviously come and give him a hard time. But if I can take the harass from the line and make sure that the lion is giving me the right click, then at least the mag can kind of farm in peace. So my objective here is just to keep hitting that line. I'll be able to right click the line any day of the week because my right click is much stronger than his, and if I can land one arrow on him, it's likely going to end in disaster for him. You can see I've also gone here for some magic, so some clarities, just so that I can sustain, because once I start rotating and I go from one lane to the next, I want to make sure that I can land arrows, that I can constantly be a nuisance. In terms of the spells, so 1 point in Starstorm, 1 point in Sacred Arrow. Obviously you want to be upping your Sacred Arrow as much as possible. You only really want 1 point in your Sacred Arrow. You want to be upping your Starstorm as much as possible because that's where you can do burst damage, and then your leap's also pretty effective. Staying in lane, just trying to harass here. A key thing to do on the off lane is to pull this medium camp. Pull it so that you can distract and create space for your offlane hero. So just pulling the creep wave, making sure that obviously the Spectre kind of catches them in the act, which is fair, but at least I can harass him a bit, put a bit of damage on him. Unfortunately I do die there, which is just part of the game. I'm at a position now where I can start rotating. So I'm looking around the map and I'm seeing, where is there a bit of action happening. Mid did look like it was having a hard time against a very difficult Razor. So you'll see here, landing, there's not really any advice to landing arrows. I think you've just got to try and predict. I usually look at where the person's they're hovering, right? They're usually kind of going back and forth between 1 or 2 points, and then you kind of aim the arrow in that direction, and sometimes you land, sometimes you don't. I was quite lucky in this game, but that landing arrow just gave the Zeus a little bit of space. I've done what I needed to do here now. The Razor's now a bit scared, thinking that I might be hanging around some more, and I can slowly make my way up to top. just to see if there is something worth having a look at here. So we're going to have, we'll be setting up the first kill here. So there's a really nice ward placed by the CM. You can see that the Lich is kind of just standing here. And what we're trying to do is just bait them into a bad position. So the CM is going to come in. The Lich now thinks that she's alone. We can kind of just land an arrow, put in some Starstorm damage, and let the Jug come in with magic and get the kill, right? So a really simple, easy kill. And that's the beauty of Mirana. That's how you need to use her, is by constantly rotating, and this is why I've gotten this Ring of a Basilius. Gives me a little bit of mana regen, but I'm also going to be going for a Windlace early on so that I've got that mobility and that movement. Now I'm bottom here again with the Magnus, just going between lanes constantly, seeing where can I maybe get lucky, land an arrow. Doesn't always work. You can see there that I whiffed that arrow completely. And now let's fast forward a little bit. Just staying in lane now, obviously trying to deny and harass the opposing team as much as possible. But it looks like the Mag is having a good time here. He's not really too perturbed. There, we landed a little arrow. The Magnus can now catch him. We've got an easy kill here on this lion. I can use the leap, get into a right position, leap away from danger. So that's the great thing, right? So I'm going to go 2 points in Starstorm, 1 in arrow, 1 in leap. The Starstorm is key because it's burst damage. Your leaps are really more about defense and getting out of a tricky situation. So yeah, in terms of item build, I've got this Windlace now, and I've got the ability to harass with that right click. Going top now and getting another quick kill. So that's where the arrow lands. If the arrow lands, it's a really effective place for you to fight because it tends to be a really long arrow. Let's just fast forward a little bit. Go to a later stage in the map. But yeah, you can just see I'm currently sitting at 2-1-2, just sending in arrows every now and again, making a miss. You'll notice that when you're playing with Kitty, you often just walking around almost aimlessly, or sitting in the bush waiting for someone to show, or taking a lot of time to kind of get the arrows off. So that's why clarities for me are so important. I think you've got to constantly have clarities because you'll be running up and down the map on a regular basis. And the great thing about a Moonlight Shadow is that you effectively give everybody the ability to be invis. So nice little arrow there. That's about a 3-4 second stun. The Jug can commit. He's obviously still got his ulti. Secure a nice kill there. Leave the lane, give the Jug the space. So a kind of a rinse and repeat. You set up a kill with a lucky arrow, and I say luck because it is a very hard spell to land. But what I would definitely recommend you don't do is just sit in lane, and not throw the arrow in fear of missing. Rather throw a few arrows and miss. I played a game just before this one. I went from lane to lane. I must have missed 10 arrows, and eventually my luck turned a bit. And it's a bit of luck, it's a little bit of luck. Okay, so I'm gonna just fast forward here to the 21st minute. Now here's the first item that I've gone for, Yule's Scepter. You'll see a lot of players go Yule's, and the reason for this is there's multiple reasons. I can disengage from a bad fight if, let's say, Razor gets me with his static link. I can Yule's him and run away. I can also Yule's myself in a bad situation. Let's say that I see the Lich ult coming. I can Yule's out of that. So it's a nice defensive item, but it's also great because I can be aggressive with it. I can go to an enemy hero, Yule's them, run slightly back, throw in an arrow, and I will guarantee a 2 second stun. So Yule's is a great way in which you can set up a kill. I also recommend that you constantly have smokes of deceit. Because you can pop a smoke, run into a fight. As soon as the smoke pops, you hit your Moonlight Shadow, right? Then that they're in the vicinity, but now they've lost vision on you. So when I recommend using the arrow, it's definitely when there's a bit of a fight going on. You can see here that there's 3 heroes posturing, great vision from the CM. I know that I'm going to hit an arrow because there's 3 guys that are going to basically eat the arrow. Get in a little bit of damage, and now the Zeus can lay in damage, which is great. I can still get out of this. Obviously I could have popped a Yule's there. Maybe that would have been a better play. So here's quite a fun fight. What's great about this fight is obviously we were baiting in the double damage. Crystal Maiden gets a nice root in, easy land for a stun. Things there with all of his damage. So a great play for Mirana is to be at all the runes. So every time that there's a power rune, to be in and around the area, because most people will commit on that rune, which gives you a chance to land an arrow. Another very effective thing to use Mirana for is to kill catapults. So if a lane is being pushed in, the catapult usually takes the longest to kill. One arrow instantly kills it. The arrow also instantly kills any creep except for ancients. So great way to also farm a little bit. In terms of the next item, so you can see I've got the Yules here. What really this team needs is some mana magic resistance. You've got a Lion, Veno, and a Lich. Which is just an incredible amount of magic burst. So that's why my immediate next item was to go Hood of Defiance, but then also to push into eventually into a pipe, because with a pipe I know that I'll be able to create sustain for the rest of the team. And if the team can stay alive, if the Jug and the Magnus and the Zeus can stay alive, then surely we'll win this game late game. Although the Spectre is also quite huge, it doesn't mean that it's impossible to kill him. Obviously stacking camps here, I'm being a little bit greedy and taking them myself because I'm trying to finish the pipe. But yeah, that was one of the great things also about Mirana, is you can go quite versatile with your items. You can go with a pipe, you can go Crimson Guard if that's important. Here we've popped a smoke, obviously looking for a fight. Running around, obviously the mag wants to be frontlining. He's got the Blink Skewer, Blink RP. As soon as he sees the lion, he'll bring him in, which is very well played. We can then usually burst him quite easily. Now the lion's going to be killed, right? The lion is dead no matter what. Now the rest of the team are following him. I've caught the Razor here because for me that's a really high priority kill. I pop my Yules on him, and now all I need to do, walk a bit back, land an arrow, boom. And it's an easy catch. Obviously this was a really good ulti by the Lich, which gave us a hard time, and then a great RP by the Magnus, setting up for a fantastic, pretty much triple kill, double kill on the Juggernaut. So yeah, one of the cool things about using that Yules is being able to land a guaranteed stun. And just making sure that heroes don't get away, so that's why the leap is effective. Leap can be used to run away, or can be used to catch up and chase heroes. And that's pretty much it. We ended up winning this game quite comfortably. The Jug really carried hard, and the Mag and the Zeus, they were the real MVPs. But I do think that Mirana going from lane to lane, securing 1 or 2 kills, harassing, making it difficult for each hero on the map to kind of feel free and feel calm does help. And I think Mirana is a really effective pos for. Make sure that you're roaming. Make sure that you're constantly using your leaps, to get in and out of battles. Use your Moonlight Shadow to save heroes. While you're going through the different jungling, or while you're going from lane to lane, try and create some stacks, and just make sure that you practice the hook. The arrow, it's definitely not an easy skill to land, but once you do get used to it and you start doing it on a regular basis, it becomes really effective. So thanks for watching this tutorial on Mirana. I think she's a fantastic hero. Played in the right way, she can make all the difference. And it's all about enabling your off lane as well as your safe lane carry to really carry the game. So when you're thinking of itemization, always think of how can I enable, empower, or build up my team. Can I bring in a pipe to reduce magic damage? Can I put a solar crest or get a solar crest? Can I get a lotus orb to protect or block from spells? Those kind of items would work really well on a position for Mirana. All the best and good luck with your next game.